Hello, podcast listeners and movie flicker pickers. This is the Pic-a-Flic podcast, and I'm your host with the most, the Western Wonder. I should also mention that this is a bonus episode of the pod. The reason for this is due to a little switcheroo in the schedule, so with an empty week, I decided to fill the void and put out a bonus for the show. And the best thing that I thought of is to sit back and yip-yap a little about the upcoming film slate this fall. And some award season murmurs, I suppose. While the weather may be the polar opposite, the first day of autumn falls on the 22nd of September, but I mainly want to focus on films coming out from October to mid-December. The movies that stand out and are on my radar to check out at some point will be mentioned. I do want to kick this off by briefly mentioning a movie coming out by the end of the month. One Battle After Another, the latest feature from director Paul Thomas Anderson, has been getting universal raves from critics ahead of its release next week. The Rotten Tomatoes rating is currently at 98%. Letterboxd, over a pristine 4.2 rating. Hotel, still Trivago. In a year where Warner Brothers is starving with their film slate, this seems to be the one to get the biggest push come award season. Whether this will end up causing a roadblock for such Warner films as Sinners or Weapons is to be determined. But the cast seems to be pretty inspiring here. Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, Sean Penn, Tiana Taylor, and Jack from Titanic is here too. I have to support this simply for an anecdote that Tiana Taylor provided for a recent press interview.
This is where we almost fought on set because PTA is about to get jumped. Because he's like, okay, this is where y'all run. He's like, okay, cool, it's a little run. He said, so you see that sign down there? I said, boy, who running all the way down there? And then what make it worse is it wasn't even a close-up shot. It was a helicopter shot. That's the only thing he don't give us
seniors on this set.
He's like, yeah, well, this is what it is, baby. If you were robbing a bank, would you stop? If you were getting chased by the cops, would you stop?
Hopefully the hype for this movie, which is being described as the most radical political thriller of the decade, holds up. While everyone clamors over which Safdie brother has the most impactful movie, which I'll mention when I get to those, I'm over here intrigued to see which Anderson brother has the filmmaking juice. Now, for reference, the Phoenician Scheme for Wes Anderson is still in my top 3 as of this recording date. Alright, so let's take a look at the month for October week by week, shall we? Kicking things off on October 3rd are 3 movies on my radar plus a questionable 4th that somehow still hasn't been updated on both Wikipedia and IMDb. That questionable 4th film being a holiday movie from Amazon called The Man with the Bag, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger as Santa Claus, because it'll be light right for him to play the man that he had beef with in his last holiday movie outing nearly 30 years ago with Jingle All the Way. I've seen virtually no trailers, let alone the poster for it, so I'm gonna say that's being dumped to a later date this year on Prime. But on to the actual 3 films with release dates. Firstly, we have
Okay, don't hurt yourself.
Anemone from Focus Features. Acclaimed actor Daniel Day-Lewis returns in a film directed by his own son. Can't tell you the plot though, as promotional trailers have been rather minuscule for it, so this could go either way. But if critical support seems to be positive, I do see a possible Oscar nom for Daniel Day-Lewis. Secondly, we have Good Boy from Shudder, not to be confused with the family film with Matthew Broderick as a talking dog from space, but rather a horror movie taking place in a haunted house from the perspective of a dog. I like Courage the Cowardly Dog as a kid, so what the hell, I'll give it a shot and check it out. And lastly, the biggest movie coming out on this date is A24's The Smashing Machine, that one Safdie brother movie that I was talking about.
I'm out there, I'm sacrificing everything. 40,000 people, and they're cheering you on. I'm talking about the highest of highs.
Starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he seems to be putting his escapades and jungles away and has locked in a biopic role, playing, surprise surprise, a wrestler named Mark Kerr. I'll tell you this, film makeup does wonders because The Rock definitely looks different, that's for sure. Now whether this looks out to be his first Oscar nod is to be determined. But could you imagine the internet if you won over DiCaprio and Daniel Day-Lewis? Absolute madness will ensue.
Shut up, bitch!
The following week on October 10th, we have After the Hunt from Amazon, starring Julia Roberts as a professor who finds herself in a bit of a bind when a colleague, played by not-so-friendly neighborhood scholar Andrew Garfield, is accused of sexually assaulting one of her students, played by Ayoa Debari. I am a bit late on the Luca Guadagnino train. I've heard of his movies, but I've never found the time to check one out, many such cases. So once again, I found myself supporting the cast involved, and I was hoping for a strong turnout on the Rotten Tomatoes score, and boy was I wrong. Upon the premiere at the Venice Film Festival a few weeks prior, it opened at 43% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the press tour for this one was pretty interesting, to say the least, if you want to bring up actors not being included in questions that they could potentially bring much needed insight to.
What we lost during the politically correct era, and what we have to expect in Hollywood after the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter are done. The two of you, Andrew and Julia.
Well, okay.
Can you repeat that? And I with your sunglasses on, I can't tell which of us you're talking about. So
the question was for Julia and Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the Me Too era and the Black Lives Matter are done, what we have to expect in Hollywood, and what we lost, if we lost something with the politically correct era.
Well,
it's not done.
Sorry. I know that that's not for me, and I don't know if it's purposeful if it's not me, but I just am curious. I don't think it's done. I agree
it's
with
not
you.
Done.
I don't think it's done at all. I think maybe hashtags might not be used as much, but I do think that there's work being done by activists, by people every day. That's beautiful, important work. That's not finished. That's really, really, really active for a reason, because this world is really challenging.
Next on the radar for this week is Kiss of the Spider-Woman from Lionsgate and Roadside Attractions, a remake of a Broadway musical that was inspired by a novel in the 70s, which in turn spawned a film adaptation in the 80s starring William Hurt and Raul Julia. There's a lot going on here. This is probably J-Lo's biggest chance at Oscar gold, and hopefully she can strike it. She's had some terrific work in the past that wasn't properly given as flowers by the higher-ups, so we'll see where she lands. Next is probably my most anticipated of this week, ROOFMAN from Paramount. Channing Tatum plays a former military officer who builds a reputation by stealing from a series of different McDonald's locations by entering through their roof, hence the nickname ROOFMAN. His most infamous moment happened when he took refuge from the police by hiding out on the roof of a Toys R Us building. And somehow the giraffe didn't catch him? I don't believe that. Either way, it's a crazy enough of a plot that I'm fascinated to see where this goes, and this should be pretty fun to watch. So, this is on my radar.
We all like going back in time and imagining how things could have gone differently. Like, what if I made different choices? Would I have ended up here?
It's been 6 months and still no leads on the whereabouts of the escaped convict known as the ROOFMAN.
Lastly, I'd like to mention Tron Ares from Disney, which stars Greta Lee, Evan Peters, Jeff Bridges, Gillian Anderson, and Jodie Turner-Smith, among others. This one is quite strange because I don't remember the last Tron being talked about as much as a Little Rugrat years ago, but then again, cartoons were my life rather than live action, so that probably helps. I don't really have a special affinity to this. The only thing I really know is that the visuals look cool, Nine Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack, and somehow Mr. Beast made it to the promo campaign.
My God, there's room for everybody, let's just say that.
On the week of October 17th, one film was on my radar, and that is the sequel to The Black Phone from Universal. I recently watched the first one a couple of months ago. I thought it was a fairly solid horror movie. Ethan Hawke plays this guy who commits a series of child kidnappings, and it's pretty much a case where this one child tries to take him down. I believe this is the same actor that is in the latest remake of How to Train Your Dragon, but I might be mistaken on that. He also should be returning for the sequel as well, just like Ethan Hawke is. Considering if you've seen the movie and how it ends, I'm very curious to see how he makes it out alive after that first one. So this should be pretty interesting, to say the least. But it seems like Universal's mind may be on another movie that is coming out on October 24th, which is Begonia, which is a Yorgos Lanthimos movie, and more so, a remake of South Korean film Save the Green Planet, starring Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. So Yorgos Lanthimos has been pretty hit or miss for me. Yeah, I think my favorite movies of his that I have seen is probably The Favorite with Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz, and Olivia Colman. Probably because of the time period and how historical it is and yada yada. Since then, it's kind of been hit or miss. I feel like Poor Things was pretty solid, but Kindness was all over the place for me, so I really didn't quite connect to it. So Don't really know much of this coming into Begonia. I'll probably watch the original movie that this is inspired by to kind of get a gist of what goes on here. But otherwise, should be pretty interesting. Another movie that's coming out on October 24th that'll probably be on certain people's radars is another biopic, which is Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, based on the life of the great Bruce Springsteen, who is being portrayed by Jeremy Allen White from The Bear. Let me see, some other names attached to this include Jeremy Strong and Paul Walter Hauser. So, potentially, if the reviews prove to be positive about this could be an interesting Oscar vehicle for Jeremy Allen White post The Bear. We should see. We shall see. We shall see how far this goes. I'm not a big Bruce Springsteen head. I do know some of his songs. I do like some of his music. So perhaps I'll definitely give it a shot. Despite my biopic fatigue. There's probably 500 biopics being made right now. So we'll have to see how far this goes. On the week of October 31st, nothing really stands out except for a Netflix movie that will be out in theaters a couple weeks prior. This is The Ballad of a Small Player from director Edward Berger of All Quiet on the Western Front, which was also, I believe, a Netflix movie. I'm interested in checking this out because my stocks are very high on Colin Farrell. It'll be a pretty interesting movie from what I've seen of the trailer. Despite critical reception being mixed for it, I'm down to see what Colin Farrell does in this. I believe Tilda Swinton as well stars. I'm fascinated. I'm very curious. On the week of November 7th, we have 3 movies. Let's see. We have Die My Love, which we have Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence starring as a married couple whose relationship is tested when the wife, played by Lawrence, goes through multiple mental disorders. So as far as I know about that, I'm not sure if there's a trailer for that out yet. So I'll keep some of my thoughts on that reserved until I see more about this particular film. Then we have Frankenstein from Netflix, which is Guillermo del Toro's version with Oscar Isaac as the doctor and Jacob Elordi as the monster. This looks rather interesting from the trailers that I've seen. Oscar Isaac seems that he looks like he plays a good part here, and as does Jacob Elordi, who completely transforms into the monster with the power of film makeup. And at least he's biblically accurate on the height of the monster. So we shall see how that stands up in the end. Then thirdly, we have Nuremberg from Sony Pictures Classics, which stars Russell Crowe and Rami Malek in a war-themed drama. As always, like I tell my movie critic friend, you know what they say about war movies. They are the Academy's kryptonite. Could this be a big awards player that can go to the Oscars? We shall see.
Dr. Kelly, can you tell me what I'm doing here? I couldn't say, Doc, I'm just a translator. Translator for what? We'll see.
You are standing inside a secret military prison. It currently houses what's left of the Nazi high command.
Sir, I'm a good psychiatrist, but this might be a little bit beyond my area of expertise.
I'm gonna put Hermann Goering on trial. He's the face of the Nazis now. As he falls, so do they all.
Evil tried to outwit me, but no man has ever beaten me.
Why not just shoot them?
I'm not gonna make them martyrs. There will be no statues of them.
Sein stark für Deutschland!
For the week of November 14th, we have Keeper, a new horror movie from Osgood Perkins. I did see his movie Long Legs starring Nicolas Cage. Ended up being pretty mixed about it. The first half had me, and then the second half started becoming a bit of a snooze for me. So perhaps, maybe a rewatch can change my mind for that? Who knows? We'll see. I also plan to check out his other project, The Monkey, which I'll be reviewing next month. So this should be very interesting. I don't really know much about this film, but I'm curious. I'm going to keep my eye out for it, and depending on the reception, it should be another strong or moderate film from Mr. Perkins. The other film that comes out around this week that I'm also interested in checking out, more so, is The Running Man from Paramount. This is Edgar Wright's latest film and the second film that's being adapted from the Stephen King novel of the same name. It finds Glenn Powell as the lead character on the run from the world, and also features support from Josh Brolin, Coma Domingo, Michael Cera, William H. Macy, Katie O'Brien, and Amelia Jones.
The rules are simple. Survive 30 days with the entire nation hunting you down. And get your family out of Slumside for good.
I'm gonna come back here and burn this building down. I promise.
That's the spirit.
This is America, goddammit! And we don't put up with no bullshit! Yes! Hunt him down!
I'm in it to support the talent. I am curious to see what Edgar Wright does with this one. I remember really liking the first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the 80s. So hopefully this one also holds up on its own. We shall see, but I'm very curious and I'm very hyped to check this one out. On the week of November 21st, we have Rental Family from Searchlight. Brendan Fraser plays an actor who begins to play a stand-in family member for multiple families during his stay in Tokyo.
So, what do you think we do here? We sell emotion.
How?
We play roles in the clients' lives. Parents, siblings, boyfriends, girlfriends, best friends, and help them connect to what's missing.
I'm just an actor. I don't know how to help people.
What I'm offering here is a chance to play roles with a real meaning.
What do you need me for?
We need a talking white guy. This girl needs a father.
Hi, Mia. I'm your father.
I'm your father.
Hello, Mia. I'm your father.
I hate you.
She hates me.
It's what being a parent is.
Brendan Fraser's comeback trail after winning the Oscar for The Whale has been nothing short of inspiring, so I'm very curious to see him in this. I do think he could play a very convincing stand-in family member lead, so I'm gonna check this one out just to support Brendan Fraser. It's probably gonna be a little bit difficult though with people boycotting Disney-related stuff, but we shall see. We shall see. Also on this week, we have the sequel to Wicked, titled Wicked for Good, starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Musicals aren't really my go-to genre, so I went into the first Wicked movie relatively cold, but I ended up very much enjoying it. Very vibrant, very colorful, great performances from the leads, and very catchy musical numbers. So whether the sequel holds up is to be determined. We shall see how it turns out to be. I did see the runtime is 20 minutes shorter, so thank goodness for that. Now, I did enjoy the first one so much that I think it'd be, able to get away with being a little bit longer. And the final month for December, on December 12th, we have Wake Up Dead Man, the third Knives Out movie. Daniel Craig returns as Benoit Blanc with a new string of potential figures and yet another shady whodunit. This time, the ensemble includes Andrew Scott, Glenn Close, Jeremy Renner, Josh Brolin, Josh O'Connor, and Kerry Washington.
To understand this case, you need to look at the myth that's being constructed. A man gives a sermon. He then, in plain sight of everyone, walks into a sealed concrete box. And 30 seconds later, that man is lying dead. A classic, impossible crime. Okay, you're freaking me out now.
I think that Knives Out has the potential to be a great trilogy. I think the first one is still the best of the best. The second one, a bit of a mixed bag. So I'm very curious to see what they can do with the third one. I mean, the cast looks pretty good. The trailer looks pretty interesting. Hopefully it can't be as all over the place as the previous one, but that's to be determined. Then on the 19th, we have two films. One that stands out for me, and this is, just a nostalgia talking for me, is the fourth SpongeBob movie, The Search for SquarePants. This should be also to note that this is the first SpongeBob movie in the trilogy to get a film festival premiere screening, I believe. It'll be playing at the AFI Festival in LA in October before it's released in December. So that should be pretty promising. I don't know, it's got some stacked competition in the animated field, but we shall see how it turns out to be. Not super duper jazzed about the switch up for Flying Dutchman voiceover roles, considering that the main guy is still alive. I don't think Mark Hamill could be bad, but it's just like you could have get the original guy to do the voice. I don't know. I'm a little bit mixed on that.
This Christmas, something big is coming to theaters.
I'm ready!
Let's go! And they're about to go. Watch where you're going.
Sorry.
Wait, no! Where they've never Ahoy! Gone before.
The underworld! It's not for the faint of heart! Oh, my lucky brick.
Dutchman's taking SpongeBob to the deepest, most dangerous part of the sea. The underworld. Underwear? Underwear.
The second film that'll be out around this week that may or may not be on my radar is a horror movie called The Housemaid with Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney. This could be interesting. I did see the trailer. It looks decent. We'll see how it turns out to be. And I don't know, horror movies that come out post-Halloween season, it could be hit or miss. So we shall see how that one turns out. Then in the week of December 25th, we have two movies that stand out. Firstly, Anaconda, which I was ignoring until I saw the trailer, which appears to be kind of like a Tropic Thunder twist of sorts on a 90s film. We see Jack Black and Paul Rudd in a bit of a scaly situation when snakes infiltrate the set of their remake of Anaconda.
Let's reboot Anaconda.
Yes.
Wait, what? This is gonna be the adventure of a lifetime. We've dreamed of making this movie ever since we were kids.
What does it cost to get this thing made?
$2.5 million.
We've approved a loan for up to $9,400.
Yes.
We're gonna shoot it indie style. Run and gun.
We need a riverboat, a script, a snake handler, and a real snake.
Secondly, we have Marty Supreme from A24. This is this other Safdie brother movie that I was telling you about earlier. This time we have Timothy Charmander trying to chase his biggest dream of all, being the world champion of table tennis, aka ping pong.
I have a purpose. And if you think that's some sort of blessing, it's not. It means I have an obligation to see a very specific thing through, and with that obligation comes sacrifice.
Everything in my life's falling apart, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Do you need any help? I could help you.
I know it's hard to believe, but I'm telling you, this game, it fills stadiums overseas. And it's only a matter of time before I'm staring at you from the cover of a Wheaties box.
All I was thinking about when I saw that ping pong came into play about this film was that if he was still with us and he was to take his acting still seriously, I do think that Prince could have been a great Miyagi-like mentor to Timothy Charzard's character, especially if you remember Jimmy Fallon's story of playing ping pong with the Purple Badness.
And he hits this serve, and it's like, and it's one of those perfect ping pong that things are spinning, flames are coming off the ball, and it's coming, and it hits that one corner of the ping pong table, you know, that's impossible to hit back. And he hits the thing, and he goes, I go, oh my gosh, you won, let me go. So I look over to pick up the ball. I come back, and he's gone. Questlove, who's our band leader here, you know, from the Roots, heard about this ping pong game and took a cab over, and he actually saw Prince's limo outside, and he went up to it, and he goes, wait, did you guys already play? What happened? And Prince rolled his window down, and he goes, ask your boy. And then they just peeled off, and then I never saw him again. It's unbelievable.
That's going to be wrapping this episode of me just yip-yapping around. Thank you for listening and tuning in as always. Next up, we'll be back on our regularly scheduled programming of film reviews with Zach Kreger's Weapons. And following that, we have Halloween spooky season coming up where I will unveil my schedule come the next episode. To be updated on when these new episodes drop, be sure to either subscribe to the show wherever you listen to said show and tell another friend to check it out. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, comment, press the like button, you know the drill. And follow the show on social media. We can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under the username handle at Pic-a-Flic Pod. That is at PICAFLICPOD. You can also find non-audio exclusive reviews on Letterboxd under the aforementioned Pic-a-Flic Pod username handle. Once again, thank you all for tuning in, and that is a wrap on this session. This is the Western Wonder, and I'm going to go sign out and prepare for my next review. Peace!
Bye, have a great time.